Hi guys, it's Jen here and welcome to Jen's Wild About Art. So today I'm doing a picture of an Australian stockman for you. So he's actually rounding up a cow. So I'm doing a stockman on his horse and he's literally herding a Hereford cow. So I'm drawing the outline drawing in with my mechanical pencil and I'm just working from a few different reference photos I have. So I'm just adding the horse now and he's in a galloping position, and here I'm just about to pop the Hereford cow in and he's sort of pushing it around, trying to herd it around. So I'll just pop the little nose details in, get him galloping sort of a bit on a sideways angle. So yeah, I thought it'd be fun to incorporate a little scene, a proper little scene this time, not just an individual animal. So now I'm putting the saddle and the stirrup leathers and everything in. So Australian stockman, our saddles are different from Western saddles. We've got knee rolls rather than the horn. We just have knee rolls, which help stabilise the rider. And we have, if you want to carry a calf or anything, we've got little tie hooks on them, or they're called D's, that you can tie your stuff to. So now I'm popping in his hat, which is an Akubra, and it's a tan colour. So I've used a bit of yellow ochre for that, and I've mixed a bit of raw sienna as well. Now I've popped some skin tone in, and I'm making the denim colour, and I'm using a bit of cobalt blue, bit of gouache with that actually to grey that blue off. And then I mix up a grey frieze shirt, and again I use Payne's Grey and a little bit of gouache just to grey that up. And then I pop some shadow areas in. So now I'm adding the details into the cow, and I'm going in with a little bit of transparent sienna, very wet brush, and I'm running that round. So that's called wet in dry. So the paper's dry, but I run the transparent sienna around. And now I'm adding a bit of transparent umber over the top while it's still wet, and then that flows around and gives you some different values. It sort of makes it look a bit more natural. So I pop, and you can see it flows a little bit. So then I move it around with a damp brush, add a bit of detail around the eyes. So now I'm adding for the shadow on his white parts, because these cows have got white faces, white chests, white legs. So I add a bit of a cool blue to the shadows. And then I add the hooves in. And I'm using a Payne's Grey for the hooves. Pop a bit of detail in the eyes. And then his nostrils. And get a bit more detail in there. So he's got a bit of fur on his head and a bit on his chest, so I just grey that up and make a bit of a stronger grey. And I add a little bit of mahogany brown under the cow's belly, and then some more grey on his face, his ears, his chest, in amongst that blue. That cools it down. So now for the horse, I'm going in with a bit of burnt sienna, and I'm running that round, very wet damp brush, or very wet brush rather. Take it right around the horse's body as a base coat, and then I add a bit of transparent sienna over the top, and while that's still wet, and let that run around a bit. Just adds a few different sort of areas on the horse for a bit of interest. Take that round his shadow areas, anywhere he's going to be darker. His cheek and down his chest. And then under his legs, under his belly, under his shoulder. Just pop a bit of definition here and there and everywhere, and I'll darken up that back leg because they're nearly completely in shadow. So he's got both his back legs tucked up, they're both galloping along, so I strengthen up with a bit of burnt umber there. Take that under that other front leg as well. So now I'm popping a bit of gouache on, but I will cover that up after. I'll put it on there, but I'm not really happy with it. I put it on for a bit of shine on his coat, but it didn't really work, so we'll just disappear that later. So I pop a bit of burnt umber for his tail and his mane. Whoops, excuse my doggy. He's just decided he wants to go and chase something outside. So now I'm popping the hooves on. And I've mixed up a green with yellow ochre and a bit of cobalt blue. And I'll pop that in for the grass underneath the cow and the horse. Then I dry it a bit, or add a bit more, add a slightly thicker mix of the same cobalt blue and yellow ochre to make a stronger green, and then I add the sky in after I've dried it a little. And while it's still wet, I just pop a bit more blue at the top and let that run down, just to add some variation to the sky. Soften up some of the edges so it's not quite so harsh. And then I pop the horse's bridle in, so for that I'm using a little bit of mahogany. So I'm using my Schmincke and my Sennelier watercolours today, so I use a bit of mahogany brown for the saddle as well. And the saddle blanket's a mustardy colour, so I popped that in. I just mixed up a mustard with a bit of yellow ochre, and I'm not sure how I mixed that actually, a bit of yellow ochre and a bit of something else to make that mustardy colour. And then I'm just adding a bit more burnt sienna to the shadow areas on the horse. And just strengthening up his colour a bit into everywhere that's a bit darker and in shadow. And the same on Little Cow, strengthen his colours up, but I go into him with a bit of transparent sienna, so it's a slightly different colour to the horse. And then warm that up again with a bit of warm sienna in his, burnt sienna in his chest. And then I pop some more denim detail on the cowboy or stockman, and I mix up a stronger grey for his shirt, give that a bit more contrast, a bit more detail. Pop his boot in, and I've used a Payne's Grey just diluted down for that. And then I start popping the detail in the horse's face and his mane, down his chest, just strengthen up those colours again, give him a bit more definition in his muscle lines. And that back leg, or those both back legs, are nearly completely in shadow, so I darken them right up. And then I make a cool shadow for underneath them. And I've used a bit of helio turquoise and blue for that. Helio turquoise and a bit of blue, and created that shadow. And now pop a bit of blue for his collar, because he's got a sort of a scarf on, or a tie. And then I go in with my Pitt pens, because I love my Pitt pens. So I add the finer detail with the Pitt pens. So I'm using a brown here and just adding the detail around the bridle and the chest plate, just putting a shadow in to strengthen that up, and around the edges of the saddle. And I refine the shirt details. He's got a very fine check on that, so I pop that in. Go in with a bit of flesh tone and a bit of white on the face just to lighten that up a little bit. Pop a bit of flesh tone around the cow's nose, and then I add a bit of a reddy brown and a grey. Well, I add a reddy brown to the horse's legs and a grey to the feet, the hooves. And define the denim a bit more with a blue pen. I think it's Idanthron blue. And then I just put some more definition around the horse and the cow. Pop the buckles on with my Posca pen. Pop and a little light highlight around the saddle pad or saddle blanket. Pop the tape off and we're done. So I hope you enjoyed this picture today. I'd love it if you guys click like and subscribe, and I'd also love any suggestions for what you'd like to see me draw or paint. I'm always looking for inspiration, and I'd love to hear in the comments below what you'd suggest or what you'd like me to draw or what you'd like to see drawn. I'll have a go at pretty much anything. So I'll see you guys in a couple of days for my next video. Have an awesome day, and I'll catch you then. Okie doke. Bye.